This is Stories by Derek, and with this one, it starts with a problem. In 1962, the United States was losing. The Soviet Union had already put men into orbit twice, and if America couldn't catch up, it wouldn't just lose the space race, it would fall behind on the world stage. So NASA needed someone, not just to go to space, but to prove the United States belonged there. And that man they chose was from Ohio. John Glenn didn't start as an astronaut. He started as a kid, fascinated by flight. Growing up in Ohio, he watched airplanes pass over. And like a lot of kids at the time, he wondered what it would be like to be up there. But for Glenn, that curiosity didn't fade, it grew. And by the time he was a young man, he wasn't just interested in flying, he was determined to do it. During World War II, he became a fighter pilot, flying dangerous missions where every decision mattered. There were no guarantees, no safety nets, just instinct, training, and control. And when the war ended, he didn't stop. He kept flying through the Korean War, through the early days of jet aviation, pushing faster speeds, more advanced aircraft, and higher risk. Eventually, he became a test pilot, which meant flying planes that weren't fully proven yet, planes that could fail, planes that sometimes did, and that's what set him apart. Not just skill, but control under pressure and the ability to stay calm when everything around him wasn't. So when NASA began searching for astronauts, they weren't just looking for intelligence. They needed people that had already faced danger and didn't panic. People who could follow procedures, but also think in the moment. People who could be trusted when there was no room for error. And John Glenn, he checked every box. The mission sounded simple: launch into orbit, circle the Earth, return safely, but in reality, nothing about it was simple. The spacecraft Friendship 7 was barely larger than Glenn himself. He would be strapped inside, unable to stand, barely able to move, and once the hatch was closed, there was no getting out because this wasn't routine. No American had ever done this before. Everything about it was unknown. February 20th, 1962, the countdown reached zero, and the rocket was ignited. Flames roared beneath him as he lifted off the ground. He broke through the atmosphere and entered orbit. For the first time, an American was circling the Earth, but the mission wasn't over. During the mission, a warning came in. The heat shield, the only thing protecting him during re entry, might not be secure. If it failed, the capsule would burn up. There was no backup, no rescue, no second chance, and Glenn knew it. But instead of panic, he stayed calm, focused, doing exactly what needed to be done. Mission Control made a call. They told him to keep part of the rocket attached during reentry. Something untested, something uncertain. It might help, or it might make things worse. But there wasn't any other option. So Glenn prepared, knowing exactly what was at stake. He descended. The capsule shook violently. Heat built up around him. Flames surrounded the spacecraft. Debris flew past the window, and for minutes, there was no way to know if the heat shield would hold. Then, silence. The capsule broke through. Parachute deployed, and moments later, he hit the ocean safely. John Glenn had done it. He orbited the Earth and came back alive. And in doing so, he didn't just complete a mission, he changed everything. The United States was back in the space race. But this isn't the end, because just a few years later, another Ohioan would take things even further, all the way to the moon. And if you like this story, please subscribe. And this has been a Stories by Derek, and thank you for watching.